masks and maintaining social distance. Call 237 for 24-hour bill balances or to report faults and emergencies. Pay your bills online with internet banking, available with Republic, First Caribbean, and Grenada Cooperative Bank. For other queries, email customer support at grenlec.com. Together, we can keep each other safe. Together, we will smile again.
Welcome back. I am CJ. The Ministry of Education was the recipient of 153 refurbished laptops to enable digital transformation in secondary schools across the island. The donation was done under the Denton Humanitarian Assistance Program. Ambassador of the United States of America to Grenada, Her Excellency Linda Tagliatella, is hoping that the devices would help assist with learning in the digital world.
This program, which is jointly administered by the United States Department of State, the United States Agency for International Development, and the United States Department of Defense, allows donations to use space available on U.S. military cargo planes to transport humanitarian goods and equipment to partner nations. As the new school year term begins, these computers will open doors to learning in the classroom across Grenada. These computers have been donated courtesy of the innovative Virginia Student Training and Refurbishing Program, otherwise known as Virginia VA STAR program, at the Northumberland High School in Heathville, Virginia.
Roxy McLean Hutchinson, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Export Development and Trade, said that the donation would be of assistance to improve ICT in schools.
The COVID-19 pandemic has brought to the fore the urgent need for improved efforts in the use of information technology, particularly within our education system. We are equally grateful for the engagement with our Washington mission, and we convey our gratitude to the generous donor agencies as well for fostering what we hope to be a productive and mutually rewarding relationship. Some of the computers that have been donated today have been left untouched for the purpose of hands-on learning experience and transfer of knowledge from the students of the VASTA program to our own students here. And we look forward to that opportunity.
Chief Education Officer Angela Finlay said the ministry is grateful for the donation to various schools.
This donation fits very well as we think of our trajectory with digital transformation at the fore. While it may seem as a small number of computers, it will definitely go a long way when we think of the voids that currently exist within our secondary schools and within the education sector in general. So we do reach out and embrace your donation with open arms, and I can assure you that we will put those computers, those devices to very good use.
One of Grenada's constitutional lawyers has described the announcement made by Carrington Hood to investigate the Director of Public Prosecution, DPP, as anti-ethical to the letter and the spirit of the Constitution of Grenada. Dr. Francis Alexis was responding to the call by Hood for the Prime Minister of Grenada to investigate the DPP Christopher Nelson QC for discontinuing private criminal charges brought by clients of Hood regarding Anderson Peters. Advising Derek Sylvester, the lawyer on record for Peters, Dr. Alexis, a former Attorney General for Grenada, said the Director of Public Prosecution, in the exercise of his constitutional discretion to discontinue criminal proceedings by whomever brought it to the court, cannot be interfered with. This Hoodian suggestion, Alexis pointed out, is anti-ethical to the letter and the spirit of the Constitution of Grenada. For Alexis explained, in the exercise by the DPP of his discretion to prosecute, not to persecute, to discontinue a prosecution brought by anybody else, Section 71(6) of the Constitution ordains that the Director of Public Prosecution shall not be subject to the direction or control of any other person or authority, said a release from the office of Dr. Alexis. The protective shield cast around the DPP by Section 71(6) cannot be penetrated in the Hoodian way, that of having the Prime Minister investigate the exercise by the DPP of his persecutorial discretion. Indeed, the idea of the Prime Minister so investigating the DPP is heresy to the Constitution of Grenada, said Dr. Alexis. Indeed, the idea of the Prime Minister so investigating the DPP is heresy to the Constitution of Grenada, said Dr. Alexis. He further explained that not even the courts could interfere with the exercise by the DPP of his discretion in the flippant way advocated by Hood. The courts, especially the Privy Council, unwaveringly emphasized that it would be rather rare for the courts to interfere with the DPP in the exercise of his prosecutorial discretion. The Constitution makes the DPP's discretion wide and unstructured, said the release. What is worse is that, regarding the events about which Mr. Hood wants the Prime Minister to investigate the DPP, certain persons, with Mr. Hood as their lawyer, pleaded guilty in court to every charge laid against them as to the violence, even grievous harm, inflicted by them on Anderson Peters. In all these circumstances, Mr. Hood's protestation regarding the violent mistreatment handed out by his clients to Anderson Peters are therefore entirely without any foundation whatsoever, Alexis added. Hood's suggestion for an investigation into the action of the DPP stems from a matter involving a brawl on board the Harbour Master, a pleasure cruise vessel. The brawl involved the crew and Anderson Peters and his brother Keaton. The crew eventually was charged for causing harm, and they pleaded guilty to the summary charge. The magistrate charged each crew member $5,500. However, Hood then turned around and filed private criminal charges in the magistrate court. The DPP, using his power to discontinue any case, filed a nolle prosequi. This concludes the local segment of news as produced by Triple N. The sports is up next.
Good day, sporting fans. I am your presenter, Misha Ganes. Regionally, in cricket, Barbados are winners of the West Indies Rising Star U15 Championship after they defeated Leeward Islands in the final round of matches at the Grenada National Stadium on Friday. The Bajans won the 15-over per side match by 16 runs to the top of the table with 18.4 points. They finished the tournament unbeaten. Barbados batted first and made 73-0 of 15 overs with solid knocks of 31 from Shem Sargent and 29 from Kemar Dixon. In reply, the Leewards ended on 57-8 with a top score of 22 from Tans Francis, which came off 26 balls. Jakeem Pollard, 2-7, Reggie Gittins, 2-9, and Akobe Krisha Bayer, 2-6, led the way with the ball for the Bajans. Speaking after the match, Coach Rohan Nurse said he was pleased with the teamwork, which led to the side's triumph. We are very happy with the way the team played throughout the entire tournament. Over the past 2 years, we didn't have any competitive cricket at this level due to the pandemic. In this time, the players worked really hard to maintain their skills, and we had a very good build-up leading to the tournament. It was the first time for all of them at the regional level, but they were able to adapt and they did very well to come out and win. We are very proud. On the international scene, in NFL, the Washington Commanders' Brian Robinson Jr. has a positive mindset and is in good spirits after undergoing surgery for the gunshot wounds suffering during an attempted armed robbery over the weekend. The rookie running back posted on his Instagram story that surgery went well. Thanks to the prayers, God is great. Commanders coach Ron Rivera told reporters that doctors describe Robinson's surgery as a success and he is on the road to recovery, though it is too early to make any timetable for a return to the football field. I can't get into specifics of it other than to say he's doing well. I had an opportunity to visit with him last night, which was really a relief and kind of cool because he was in a really good place, Rivera said on Monday. The doctors were very positive with him and he was very positive as well. He's very fortunate. It's a very unfortunate situation. He's doing well. It is just going to be a matter of time before he's back out here. There is no timeline, but as I said, everything's been very positive. Washington, D.C. police reported the shooting during an attempted robbery and carjacking, and the Commanders posted a statement on Twitter on Sunday confirming the 23-year-old Robinson was receiving treatment in a hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. A third round pickup in this year's draft, Robinson was expected to take over the starting running back job after impressing the coaching staff during the training camp and preseason games. In 2 exhibition games, Robinson has rushed for 57 yards and 1 touchdown on 14 carries, while incumbent Antonio Gibson has rushed for just 5 yards on 6 attempts. The Commanders, who went 7-10 to finish in 3rd place in the NFC East, in 2021 opened the season against the visiting Jacksonville Jaguars on September 11th. And that's sports for you. I was your presenter, Misha Ganes. Thank you for listening.
On the international scene, Kenyan opposition leader Raila Odinga, who is contesting his loss in this month's presidential election in the Supreme Court, says he will respect the court's ruling, but he still believes he won. Here are the details.
Raila Odinga says he'll respect the Supreme Court's call on whether or not he won Kenya's presidential election, but he still believes he won.
I want the Supreme Court to hear this case impartially and make a ruling that is impartial, that basically respects democracy.
The opposition leader is contesting the loss of his fifth run at the presidency and blames his previous losses on rigging. Now, his legal team alleges a team working for Deputy President William Ruto hacked into the election system and increased his share of the August 9th vote. Ruto, who was declared president-elect, has denied the allegations. The Supreme Court will issue a ruling by September 5th. Odinga's claims have sparked 2 deadly protests in the past and are igniting fears it could happen again. In 2007, more than 1,200 people were killed in civil unrest. A candidate requires 50% of the vote, plus 1, to win the election. Odinga says he has proof he was the people's choice and he wants a recount.
No, we will just try to ensure that we don't have a repeat of what has happened. That is really our intention. We don't want the voice of the people to be muzzled through this manipulation like happened this time around.
Welcome back to Regional Development. In Barbados, a U.S. official warns the region to be cautious of its ties with China. We get more in this report.
United States Representative Mark Green, who also addressed the summit, issued a strong caution to Barbados and its Caribbean neighbors. He warned countries that accepting investment opportunities from economic powerhouse China comes at a price. His comments come amid rising tensions between U.S. President Joe Biden and his Chinese counterpart as a Beijing invasion of Taiwan looms.
What's good for the United States is good for the Caribbean. What's good for the Caribbean is good for the United States. Unfortunately, for too long, U.S. foreign policy has largely ignored our neighbors in the Western Hemisphere, particularly the Caribbean. And we've seen the detrimental effects of that detachment. From China's debt trap diplomacy to Russia's extensive disinformation campaigns, Iran's funding of terrorism, to Taiwan's growing diplomatic isolation, to rising instability and surging immigration at our southern border. America's aloofness towards the Western Hemisphere has created a vacuum, and that vacuum has rapidly been filled mainly by Russia and China. And unlike the United States, which seeks mutually beneficial relationships, Russia and China care about only themselves.
This wraps up the international edition of news as produced by Triple N for today, Tuesday, 30th August 2022. I have been your presenter, CJ. Thank you for listening.
From many distant lands, our forefathers came, some seeking adventure, some bound in chains. Through battles waged and fought, through victory and pain, by test of their courage, our freedom was gained. In homage to
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you could pick up the telephone and give us a call. The number to call is 4420175. And we're on Facebook, and you can use the same number on WhatsApp. We're on YouTube, Sister Isle in Carriacou. So you know, all areas you can use whatever opportunity you have to communicate, whether you call directly or you WhatsApp us, or we will read your posts on Facebook. We could do that because we don't have a subject matter. And you could interrupt us at any time. We will change the subject just for you. Politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, trending issue, or you may have a strange issue you want to bring up. We could do that. On our program, you don't have to be no grammatista, swallow the grammar book to call us. Real FM, always try to interact with our people. And we just don't have the ability to take sign language. But it doesn't matter how you communicate. Once you could cipher out what you want to see, we are willing to promote it. We like people to respect one another. It doesn't mean you can be critical of somebody, but you could respect them and we could stick to the subject matter. We know politicians normally have to take a greater hit than the ordinary man. People tend to criticize politicians a little more. But nothing is wrong in criticizing a politician. We must always try not to personalize the discussion. Sometimes people really go down on politicians and their children, their family, their wife. Sometimes it's sad. A doctor wants his child to be a doctor. A carpenter wants his child to be a carpenter. A successful fisherman wants his child to fish. If you're in the acting business, you want your child to act. But people don't want politician children to be politicians. And they complain a lot. And sometimes unfairly so. And there are 3 people in particular post-1984 who I believe has bear the brunt of the criticism. They unleash an onslaught on them. And I think that is Dr. Kit Mitchell, Gregory Bowen, and Nazim Buck. And I tend to like the manner in which these people have dealt with criticism. They have not looked vengeful. They have not retaliated. And they set a high standard where criticism is concerned. So politicians expect to be criticized. But we don't want our politicians to be vengeful, because you could do revenge and a lot of people could be in trouble. We had this thing before, particularly in the 4.5 years. A number of the revolutionaries doesn't like me to say that, because they tend to want to glorify the revolution without recognizing some of the hatred, the bitterness, the vengeance that took place in the revolution. And I believe it has mashed up some communities like a cricks. There are some communities you used to go in anybody's house anytime celebration. But after the revolution came, a lot of bitterness and hatred. Some people remain quiet, but you were no longer welcome in their homes. And you can give us a call. Yes, go right ahead, caller.
Is that how you doing?
Great, man.
All right.
Go right ahead. You're great, yes.
Yeah, I will say something about our people. Now, we have the work, the bushing work on the road, and we have like the program in the field work or whatever. But the same set of people on them that used to get the contract to go in the field. Them again are getting all the contract again. And the NDC supporters don't even get a contract to go in the field. But the NPM getting contract on the road. They have to share it. They have to share it, Mr. Pierre. Hello?
I listen to you, Chief.
Yeah, I say the field work start. So I saw up and who cleaning so up and them who cleaning cocoa, whatever. But it is the same NNP and them are getting the contract to go in the field.
You start
so why didn't you check?
Caller.
And all the NNP getting all the contract on the road in the bushing. This is not fair. They have to do a lot of changing up. Do a lot of changing up on that.
Caller.
Yeah, this is fair.
It's a long time. Yes, the caller is making fun. I think he's really making fun of some NNP people. And it's sad. It's not necessary because these people live in the same community with you. And what you do, you're creating fracture. Remember, you have cricket, you have football, you have games. You've dismissed the people, you fire them, and now you kick in on them. And that is not right. I don't know. Sometimes I speak about that because you live in the community and you feel the hatred and anger. So now you're calling on radio to kick on these people because you know what you're saying is not true. Yes, caller, welcome. Caller, welcome.
Afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, good day, ma'am.
What I just called to see, what the Mr. say is alive.
Well, yes, I think he's really trying to kick on those NNP. He want to rub the nose in the ground.
There is people like me what go out to work, and each and every one of them is an NDC.
Yeah, I think the caller is just really kicking on the NNP people.
I don't know why he's saying that because he for himself know he liar.
Yes, caller.
Yeah.
I think he just kicks in on the people. He having fun. He's enjoying himself to see them unemployed. He's having a big laugh because they fired him. And that is what is kind of sad in the community.
They eating and they drinking just as how we eating and drinking.
Yes, it's kind of unfortunate.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think this is what is sad and unfortunate in the community. You see, it is not the PSCs that are affected. It is not senior officers, senior policemen. It's ordinary people who making under $2,000 a month. Who work, the people in Carriacou who and others in Grenada, $1,200 they're working for. 8-9 years. So you get rid of these people and your supporters kicks in on them. And this is not good. You're going to have serious repercussions in the community. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
He was talking about revolution a while ago. And I look at the attorney, Mr. Hood, with his case with the Trinidadians. And I think it's only now Mr. Hood decided to feel the anger of the revolution, because he was one of the 17 for the slaying of Maurice Bishop.
No, caller. Please, no. Why you, caller?
All right, I'm listening.
Yeah, there is no truth in it. You must think about there is absolutely no truth in that, caller. None. This gentleman was a public officer, and I was a public officer in that area with him too. There is absolutely no truth in it. So we take back that statement. There is absolutely no truth in it. Yeah. Yes, caller. Thank you. Yes, we want to be very careful that the same thing as say we don't say anything about people. We have to avoid. People have families. They have children. One mother tell me her son didn't want to go to school. And when she say you have to go, she say, Mom, you don't know what's going on with me in school. But the woman is a strong NNP. And the son don't want to go to school because they're giving him a battering in school. So what the mother did, she said she paid another person to help him with his homework on the evening time. And she got somebody to give him extra class. And some days she did not send him in the school. She said, you must go to school for socialization's sake. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. Yeah, go right ahead.
Yeah, I was listening to the post-cabinet press briefing.
They had one today?
With the minister. Yeah, they had one.
Oh, well, I didn't hear about it.
Of Education and the Permanent Secretary. And he mentioned concern to do with the worker that was doing sanitizing of the school and other workers that was sent home. That was sent home. And I say they reviewing it. What I'm saying, okay, if you review stuff, the workers, they work. You send them home and did not get to. I do believe yes, you could review something to see if there was it was legal or illegal. And but you had they work twice. You pay them work, pay them work because they work. They work. Don't say they didn't work. They work. Guarantee what again Harris. People that did not work, you go and pay them. But people who work, you send them home. But you review it and then still pay them.
Caller, this is what I don't mince matters. This is what I say. It is straight political victimization. And the worst group of people to victimize is the poor and the marginalized. Because they don't have a voice. The trade union would make much noise about these people. And I know that. I know that the Public Workers Union made a little song. But you see, the National Democratic Congress retrenched these people when we had the homegrown structural adjustment program that people hail as a masterpiece. They retrenched these people and they cut social funding, social spending.
So I'm saying, okay, like they were saying, okay, like them workers was not permanent. They was on contract. So then ask you a question. You prefer to be sent home and feel better, or they're on contract and they getting a salary? If the government didn't make them permanent, but they was on contract, but they was working, they get a salary when wanted rich. So which one better? To send them home and blame the government for not making them permanent? So I see if the government keep them on contract, it's better than you send them home. Because when they on contract, you get a salary every month, when they put it rich, when you send them home and they can't take care of the family, right? What happened to the children that they don't get the difference?
Caller. That is one of the reasons NNP lose election. You see what you're going on with it? That is one of the reasons NNP lose election. Because these things happening like a recurring decimal. And NNP never addressed it in terms of public relations. They never did. So you see this gentleman call me the first and he says NNP alone not getting work. And he knows this is not true, but it seems to have been trained to send out disinformation. So what they're doing now, well, they must believe in it because some of us not listening. You see, caller? So, caller, one of the challenges that a lot of NNP people have, the NNP public relation team was poor. And they're going ahead with the same thing. They so I don't know, they might learn something. Yes, thank you, caller. Yeah, one of the challenges you have, the National Democratic Congress over the last 7-10 years was very good on social media. You had the Prince of Hate constantly preaching disinformation. So the gentleman called the program, Cultureman called the program, and Cultureman is saying that they give all NNP work and they don't give in NDC. And Cultureman know this is the furthest from the truth. But he's already spreading the propaganda as disinformation to even neutralize the NNP intention of counter. This is why people could sit down comfortably in this society where a number of people from the lower socioeconomic strata, the marginalized people, you throw them out and give them out. These people wouldn't complain much. When the NDC had the structural adjustment program, they cut social spending and fired the people in the propagators. Government propagator, the government estates, these people felt the brunt of the challenge and they suffered. And in 2008, what did they do? The first thing they do was to go after the old people. In Paraclete alone, 5 women, one of them is alive still. She's 99. But one of them had 14 children and she was blind. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Pierre, good day.
Yes, my brother.
What Cultureman say, I don't know if it happened in his area, but
No. What Cultureman doing is disinformation. He joined the propaganda and he pushing the propaganda.
Because I see he could come to St. John's, ask anybody around the whole of St. John's area.
Caller, you don't have to go in St. John. You don't have to go in St. John.
So I talk about my area where I could tell you about that. He could go from Florida, come right, but ask him who was here, and he have one saboteurs up NMP in the gang. He have a lot. He go and see. Yesterday, a guy say, one of them call him more and tell him, look, rounds of 4 persons, we're going to clean up this issue. I say, look at me, all this land. Nobody come and tell me nothing. He call his activist. She calls his son. His son is going around looking for a woman to go get a food. This thing is political things, so they didn't happen. I get it from his son yesterday. His son said that. He said, you're looking for a man. They just call him the morning for one time. So the whole thing, they call up the house. So see, this thing I'm going, so people I see that happen right there happen there. The guy said that, he said, look, he waited one time, he could get something that he called to go and work up his source about food in his source. Get a foreman. This thing happening, but I said, I don't know if on his side what happened, but this thing happening on my side here. Guy same day for Friday. One policeman say, well, look, we usually get paid on the 25th. I hope no, you don't see money come in your account. I say, usually get paid on the 25th. A police guy say that. Friday guy say, I say I go in food first, and then I get no money. The guy was saying that. So I don't know if it's true, but he said usually on the 25th they get paid, and Friday they didn't get no pay. Yeah. So after you go and
yes, you're going to see, you know what is sad in these things? And over the years, I've been saying that, over the last 7 years, I say the worst organization in Grenada are the Bar Association. I have the greatest respect for individual lawyers. But because they are the best legal minds, you expect them to take some position. Yes, caller, welcome.
Punch, Mr. Pierre.
Go right ahead, man.
Mr. Pierre, I can't believe that this new administration is creating jobs, for instance, the bushing work, and people who are NMP refusing to go do the work, Mr. Pierre, would you do that? We all are Grenadians. We should live together as one after the politics over. So I don't understand. I hear that certain gangs had to go looking for people to come cut the grass.
They got it. They even went and get hairdressers. You didn't know that, sir? Chief, you wasn't aware that they got some hairdressers. People shocked, A woman telling she never thought this hairdresser want to work on her. For the amount of things she say about the bushers.
Well, if they don't want it, I will take it,
Well, yes, I think you should join them too.
I will join the road and do the work.
Yeah, I think you should.
Because I can understand people, because your party not in power.
What happened? What happened? You don't have enough supporters to put on the road.
But when you look at the NDC stratification, as you say, shut off people, there are less.
No, the NDC have they win the popular vote.
Yeah, but when
and they put in less gangs on the road. So what happened? They don't have enough people.
They should have enough people.
So what you bothering about?
The NDC are bothering that the NMP should take the work.
Honestly, what you're doing is what culture man doing. And this is what is sad. Watch me. Caller. I'm in tongue long. Remember, you're not, let me say to you, you're not speaking to one of them journalists in this country. I am in tongue long.
I know that.
So what you're doing is disinformation, propaganda, disinformation. Caller. You want to speak and ask me a question. I could let you express your opinion and leave you and go. But if you ask me a question, then you start to deal with issues.
No.
What you're doing there is disinformation, propaganda, disinformation. Culture man just do it and you're doing it.
Explain to me where I said disinformation and misinformation. Where I said anything.
Go ahead, caller. No,
where I said anything. I'm saying that people are refusing to do the work. That's all I'm saying, yeah.
All right, thank you, caller.
I'm not spreading no rumor or propaganda.
Caller, you're not spreading rumor. This is disinformation. And this is what is sad. Because we live in a small community. This is what killed the revolution. This is what crippled the revolution. Maurice Bishop came to the Comforter because very early a young man lost his life. And a young man that was a revolutionary. And he was the son of a big planter in the community. The planter put his hand on his head and he bawled like a cow. So Maurice Bishop come in the community to help to do damage control. And that is when he tell people to plant weed. And later on, he lock up Fargo. I'm not saying how much he is because the last time I said 2 and one of his relatives take issue with me, say he's 5. And he lock up the man with the Red Rover. Welcome, caller. Punch.
Yeah, good day, Mr.
Yes, my brother.
Good day, Mr. Pierre, what you saying there, you're totally right. Because I live in Shantimel, I could tell you that. And them people hungry are shocked for work in Shantimel. So I don't know which NNP people are going to reject work now. You have too much poor people in Grenada. That man is totally lying. You hear what I say?
Yes, scholar, thank you.
He as well as the other man.
Yeah.
Totally right with all what you're saying there. Them men and them just setting up in this line.
Well, this, you call that disinformation, propaganda. Right. So they're going out now to tell, and then you're going to hear riders or rider, and how you call the individual on the radio station, and perhaps Callis saying, look at what's going on in Grenada. This is disinformation. But what happens on the ground? How do you form groups on the ground? How you relay with one another on the ground? When you do that, you fracture in the community. Already in Grenada, people who are intelligent tend to abscond the community. And when you do this blatant political victimization, you're destroying the fabric of the community.
Mr. Pierre, a lot of them people want to work as shark. Because them people, the majority of people in there is poor set of people, real down. And they want to work. I don't believe they refuse him. No.
Well, this is not true. What they do, they employed the hardline NDC people. I guess as time goes on, they might take one or two NNP. But and it is so glaring, it's so blatant that these politicos now trying to neutralize by claiming people. Even a woman was shocked. She said she could have never believed these people want road work. Because she saw these people with as hairdresser and all that. She said she couldn't believe that they want road work.
Well,
so it's not. Yes, caller.
I'm sure I would have called the radio station today, you know.
Yeah.
Because I didn't so sure of calling today.
But because of the statement.
But she was right.
Yeah.
So,
yes, thank you. And I was saying before, some of the problems we have in Grenada could be fixed. But in a lot of instances, people who have tertiary education, they tend to abandon the community. And you hear me speak a lot about the dentist from Ticolo. Or you hear me speak, yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, go right ahead.
You know what happened when they say, that the people that, you know what happened now, what they saying, the people that NNP people refusing work? The girl walk and she's sanitizing hand and doing all kind of things in the school. They make her go and they don't pay her. And now they calling that one. I know about that one. They calling her now to go and walk on the road, and she refuses.
You see, what is going on there is victimization. I don't pull punches. I don't believe in my lifetime in Grenada, any government have used that part of the SRO to victimize people in Grenada. And it is sad and unfortunate. And I believe there are some senior public officers, you have retired policemen, you all should start to come on radio and talk. Because some of our journalists are waste of time. Total waste of time. But we have a number of senior public officers who in Tong Long. You have senior policemen who have retired. You all have the time like me. So you all could get on radio programs and help, because I've always said one of the biggest challenges in the Caribbean is the pressure politicians are on to deliver. And sometimes I have a lot of soft heart for politicians because their supporters sometimes could lead them astray. We have a very young political team. Whether you like it or not, is the first opportunity in politics. Just as how the NNP did not expect to lose, the NDC did not expect to win. So as a result of that, you have the situation where these individuals are still angry and bitter. Although they win election, they want to drag some people on the street. I've seen that go on in 2008. The National Democratic Congress in 2008 bringing in a forensics expert. And they set up a group of team, I think Lloyd Noel was in it and others, to look for the sins of Kit Mitchell. The only person they was able to charge, I think, was Fullerton. And when the government come in power, they say that charge is a waste of time, they throw it out. So one expect them to go in investigation again, almost like a recurring decimal. And this time there seems to be worse because they start with a victimization program. I'm very disappointed in the trade union here. No better because they hear the sister from has had or whatever made some statement and Grimes. This is just statement to appease the public. They're not genuine. You notice you don't hear nothing from Luis. Not a word from him. Not a word I heard from him. And you have a number individuals who always talking about fair play. And I have a partner in St. Patrick's who say there's call a spade a spade. Since election come, he calling it a shovel now. It changed. Now, what aches you is they going after some of the people least that can defend themselves. Because a public officer could be transferred any place within the service of equal status. So when you transfer a public officer, he doesn't lose pay. He don't lose pocket. If he's a traveling officer, he don't lose traveling. But when you go after what we call the parallel public service, these people are seriously disadvantaged. A woman working in Carriacou for $1,200, 9 years in the service. She used to be cleaning and wiping and putting on diaper and cooking and, wiping the sick and the elderly, bam, bam. You transfer her to the field to cut grass. And knowing them as well as I do, if the person in charge of the field is a hardline NDC, they're going to send her in the worst part of the field. They hope she cuts your foot. Because she is dejected, she is sad, she's unhappy. They want to rub her nose in the dust. I think this is madness. I think this is crazy. It is unacceptable. I believe the time has come that we must determine which group of workers are political workers. You can go, let us suppose you have this group of people that was involved in COVID-19 preparation for school and etc. That program must come to an end someday as soon as you're satisfied with the control and management for COVID-19. So it's not a permanent job. So if this government comes into power and they believe the time has come to end the program, you end the program. But they did not end the program. They get rid of some people in the program. They go through and select and have a list and get rid of some people. How could you do that? You have a small community, maybe 400 people, neighbors. How could you do that? What kind of animal you made from? You see, I see this thing in the revolution when we line up people against a wall and kill them. When we castrate an individual. When we put an individual in the back of a Suzuki, a man about 6'5", 6'6". I was a little taller than him. But he was bigger than me, weighing about 300 pounds. You put him in the back of a Suzuki, handcuff him, and drive him fast on the rough road and tell him that is Gary Road. And he tumbling down in the vehicle, and you get a laugh. When you finish, it was like an ejaculation in satisfaction. You happy. But after that, when the revolution done, a lot of people couldn't come to his home again. The village mashed up like a crick. A number of people that would pass on you and don't even give you a second glance. And it is not necessary. It's not that the treasury don't have money to pay these people. It's not that these people are not the regular public service. This is what I want Junior Judge and the Callis and them to understand in the diaspora. It is not the regular public service where somebody have to be transferred for a place of equal status. So I normally refer to them and say, grow where they plant you. You're not losing money. You're not losing pocket as a result of being transferred. Grow will plant you. And normally they transfer you and give you not much to do. So you could use the opportunity to get your master's degree. You could go and do an online course and get your master's degree. Sometimes you could work more in your land. You get an opportunity to invest in business. But these people are what we call hand-to-mouth people. Prior to the election, you saw the attack on people even that the government was helping with toilet. But I was surprised that they bring back the bushing. You know. The amount of things they say about the bushing, I was surprised that they would bring back the bushing. You know? And it is not correct. What you're doing, you're fracturing the country. You're breaking up families. Some families are going to turn against others and say, you caused me to lose my job because you vote for this or you vote for that. There'll be more hatred. It happened in the revolution. After the revolution took place, I knew one family, the sons couldn't come in the father's yard. He said, no more. You can't enter this yard. And he died. And that son couldn't come in the yard because he was shooting on the foot. One case where another one arrested the father for going to a meeting. They went to revive the Goat Society. But at that time, the revolution became phobia. So they thought they went to have a meeting to overthrow them. And I'm talking about agricultural people involved in agriculture. You know. So the son was one of the people who come and arrest the father for being a counter-revolutionary. But after the father came out from prison, about 2 months after that, the son couldn't take it again. He moved for Trinidad. So what the politician, what the National Democratic Congress is encouraging now is going to have negative consequences on the ground. And it is not necessary. The victimization program that they're going to is not necessary. But I warned them earlier in the year, 2, 3, 4 years ago. I say, if you continue to propagate hate, and I compared it with Rwanda, radio station in Rwanda was in the forefront of propagating the hate that resulted in over 800,000 people dying. You had radio personalities, they was cussing everybody. Even the church. They said the church sucking the anus of a political party. I was shocked when I heard that. And politicians of the National Democratic Congress never condemned that individual. They was asking people to burn bags. And it seems that they are. So you see, we sometimes are our own worst enemy. We are our own worst enemy. And the number to call is 442-0175, and you have the WhatsApp, and we'll take a WhatsApp message, or we will try to read some of the posts that we are getting. But we want to encourage Grenadians. I've been following some individuals on social media, and I found out a few of them was teachers. And I hope and pray that they leave the bitterness and the hate at home when they go to school. I hope and pray that. And why I say that? Because I remember the story of this woman who said the little boy tell her, Mommy, I don't want to go back to school. And when she's trying, she said, Mommy, you don't know. You don't understand what's going on. So after investigating, she realized that they just give him hell. They tell him, you don't want to learn, man. You have it well made already. Your mother is minister. You don't want to learn nothing. And they throw pot shot at him constantly. So she decided to hire somebody to help him with his homework in the evening time. And any day the person had a chance, she would take him back from school, keep him out from school, for let the person teach him. But he was very successful. And he moved from that primary school. So there might be others because I hear other stories. Some of them they have not done well, again, because sometimes the parents don't understand how important and critical they are to our children. And while on that point, while I wait your call, and I intended to say, our children are preparing to return to school next week, on Monday. And I again make the call. Parents have to remember that 70% of the children that exit secondary schools or exit schools in Grenada cannot meet the minimum requirement in school. Of the 30 countries in the world with the best education rate, there are no black countries in it. Brazil, not in the 30. Brazil have the most black people outside of Africa. Yes, scholar, welcome.
How are you doing, Mr. Pierre?
Go right ahead. Yes, scholar, good.
Mr. Pierre, I want to say something. Now we talk about sorry. We talk about okay, independence, right? But you there?
Yeah, go right ahead, scholar.
Right.
Listen.
But you think independence doing us any good? In that, I mean, all right, we say we are, but I mean, still we can't, I mean, we can't speak with one voice. We can't unite as a people. I mean, a people come out from slavery. I mean, okay, let's say, well, I mean, a couple of 100 years ago, but we still proving to ourselves we are. I mean, as you said a couple of minutes ago, you know, like we have become our biggest enemy. You know, and the thing about this thing is, okay, right? I mean, we see we are independent nation. I mean, we come from slavery and whatever. But look at it. We still eating up one another. We still gobbling up one another. I mean, well, then I don't see between you and I don't see independence doing us any good. You know, I don't see it. You seen it?
Caller, we should never have to fight for independence. If Grenada was a country that could have fight with Britain or prepare, we use guns to get it. We should never have to fight for independence. The only reason we do is the same reason we're in problem now. We have too much of our better educated and successful people abandoning the marginalized. Even children, they abandon their parents. Even children from rural communities, when they go and they get educated, they don't even go back to raise the bar on the block, Color. Color, we could change the challenges in Grenada overnight.
But just bear me 1 minute, right?
You see, when you ask me a question, that's what happened.
Yes.
So make your comment.
Yes, but what I'm saying, I mean, how do we better these kind of situation and them? Where do we start? What is our starting point? What would you recommend then?
All right, Color. We could change this thing overnight.
How?
In fact, first of all, the National Democratic Congress have used a clause or a law that nobody in Grenada have used in the last 40 years.
What is that?
You see, you're asking me a question, but you don't want me to answer you.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, so better you finish, because once you hear you, this is not yes or no. You want to know what are the suggestions that I have. And I have a lot of suggestions. I don't come on radio without believing that we could change things.
Okay.
So I'll have to answer you off there. All right, brother. Thank you. One of the ways we could change Grenada is to make certain that 70% of the children that exit school meet the minimum requirement. Right now, it's about 20 to 30. It's a disgrace. It's a shame. Some of our teachers should shed tears. They're profiling our children in school, and they're not helping them. And they're beating the chest and say them is good teachers. You're done good. If 70% of the children failing, something wrong with the teacher. So I'm not wasting time with them again. I don't think they go change. Derek Walcott, when he wrote about Grenada, was surprised at the class structure. Our class structure is not like Jamaica. You go one place in Jamaica, you see some building, you think it's hotel, people place. The next place is a ghetto. John Galt always tell me Jamaica is a failed society. I do agree with him. But I believe we could make that change in Grenada. 70% of our children exiting school cannot meet the minimum requirement. They're not getting English language, they're not getting maths. Now, parents have to be hungry for education. You're spending, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller.
A while ago, there was a press conference, and I heard the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education said, everything will be back to normal. All work to rule finish. And all the things, the different things will be taught again to children. That was one of the points the permanent secretary made. You understand what I said?
Yeah, yes. And I think they will try, you know.
Well, that permanent secretary was actually responsible for.
But you can't say he was responsible. Huh? You got to be careful. But you see, 4 years pass, 4 or 5 years pass, and our teachers shaft our children.
Yes.
They shaft our children.
Yeah.
You know, we have a system that, and that's why I appeal to parents like that, you know. Because really and truly, I don't think the teachers and the educators go change. And they hatch onto success story. So when a school here, when you hear result come out, yeah, this child get 15, this child get 20, this child get 9, this child get 8, and the voice start to go down. This child get 7, and then you don't hear nothing again. What percentage of the children is successful? So when you say a school is good, the school is hatching onto success story. And this is one of the challenge we have in Grenada. So I basically want to wake up parents. A child is a gift from God. You carry, and I don't pull punches. I blame women. Why do I blame women? 60% of the household are led by women. The majority of teachers in the school are women. The majority of principals are women. The majority of permanent secretaries are women. So if the women get hungry for education, that change is going to take place. Now, if you have your child going to school, you have to make certain you can't depend on your school according to who your child is. If he look like a tababy, if his pronunciation is not good, if he's from Ticolor, as soon as he reach in the school, they profile him. And then it's a challenge for him to succeed. You see the ease at which teachers turn against children. And then they tell me they love children. Well, I always say, well, everybody in Grenada is supposed to love one another. But the government will pay you to love. The government paying you to teach maths and English.
No.
And if the child cannot succeed in his subject, you are not about loving that they pay you to love them.
Okay, then.
Yes, my caller. So I think the answer is, as my caller before, you want to know what is the solution. The first solution is for parents to understand that your child going to school, but you have to do much more to make that child succeed. You have to do much more. I've been on radio begging people, when your kid have 5 years old, introduce music to your child. If you have a man, and the man is a fisherman, you have to teach your child to blow the shell. Because most of the fishermen could blow shell. If your boyfriend is a jab, then let him teach your child to blow the shell. Because if your kid could blow the shell, your child will be able or in a better position to blow the trumpet. If you have a child that have a good voice, encourage him to sing. Sometimes you have to bring him to a church and encourage him to go in the choir. And we're not talking about going to heaven now. I ain't saying you have to like the church. But the church might be able to help your kid. So if you care about your child, because you care about your man. So if you have a man that, I mean, come on. Sometimes I watch some women and you say you don't like your child. I always say that to them, you don't like your child. Because if you have a man and a man could say, well, you have to get a shell for me. A shell is $5. If the man can get a shell, then you give him $5 to buy the shell. Or run him. It makes no sense. He doesn't add. He doesn't help you develop your kid. A woman is a vessel, whether you like it or not. A woman receives and she take what you give her and expand it. So when a man gives her sperm cells, she make a child. So it makes no sense you have a worthless man that not helping you develop your children. And later on, your child in drugs. Your child can't get a job. Every time a government have come, they fire your children. They cannot seriously impede the development of your child if your child is educated. They can't. If your child is a teacher, the government has to handle them with care. If your child is a public officer, if your child have the level of skills and talents, the people that the government is victimizing now is the poor of the poor. And I believe some of the voices should be loud and clear, asking the Prime Minister to withdraw, rescind, take it back. And the union should be demanding that we categorize workers so we know who is political workers and who is not political workers. And if an individual is considered as a political worker, he must not pay union dues. The union going to tell you it's not dues you're paying agency fee. Because there's a law in Grenada that gives our union a better position than most unions in the Caribbean. If you come and work in the bargaining unit, you have to apply to be a member. But you're still paying the same money as a union member. But they call it agency fee, not union dues. Half a dozen and 6. So you don't want to be a member, but you must pay them the same dues. But the unions is not seeking your interest. Remember, the government paid the teachers money they did not work for. They challenged it in court. The court did not agree with them. But the government said they paid them for peace. And I asked if they blackmail the union, if they buy them out. So that's why the union is so soft on the issue. And these workers, the majority of them may not be in the union bargaining unit. So you can't blame the union if they don't speak for them. There's 1 or 2 of them that pay the union and in the union bargaining unit. But the majority of them would not be. So all the workers the government employ, and it's a social program. The government employ them because of the fact that over 2,000 persons lost their job in the hotel industry, St. George's University, blah, blah, blah. So they're trying to employ these people and hope as the economy resuscitates, as the economy come back, they would be able to get these people moving to bigger jobs. Because it's not plenty money they pay these people. So I ask, there are a number of members in the National Democratic Congress, and I know the parents is poor people children. So I don't know how they could have stomach to do this thing. I don't understand. The National Democratic Congress made a call, and they said they're going to make these people permanent, and no, they wasn't talking about these people. But the manner in which they speak, they wanted the people to believe they're talking about them. When a fella tell me the government gonna make them permanent, I nearly cry for him. I nearly cry for him. The man get to work as a hand sanitizer in a school. The man say about a week before, the man show you just, he change his jersey, he get quiet. He say, boy, I want a permanent job. The man tell me based upon the age and that thing near to his home, I nearly cry. Say, government not talking about you. Yeah, yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah.
Yes, caller. Yes, my brother.
Just something I find out. You might have a better idea than me. Do you know why? Right now, someone called me and said, Costa backfill. Do you know why they have backfill around this time? Because a long time since We don't have back sale. We didn't have back sale for quite a number of years.
Companies not in business for joke, you know. Companies in business to make money. And companies must feel, remember, we have a war going on in Ukraine that is expanding. China and Taiwan on this issue. So some companies are very cautious. This is why the Keith Mitchell government had over 500 and something million, I understand from radio, not officially, in savings, because they're preparing if Grenada have a worst case scenario, they will able to maintain things for a couple of months. So these agencies come in and they're watching things. And if they have just the slight belief that things is going to get worse, they salvage, they go on the market and sell out quick. So these companies, it may not necessarily be what happening in Grenada, but it could be what happening in the world. These people don't joke. That's why they make money. Yeah? The government of Grenada have no justification. No justification. They don't, it's not a question of money. It's not to say they close the programs. They're just bad-minded. That is political victimization. It's the worst case of victimization I have witnessed in my lifetime. And I've been in the public service for 40 years. I don't know, and I ask anybody that know any government use that means to victimize people. You win the election. It's the same thing the National Democratic Congress did, or similar, when they won 11 seats and the opposition 4. They got rid of the older folks. First thing they did. They got rid of the older folks. Then they started an investigation. They bring down a forensic expert. It's the same thing they did. And they come back now and they're doing the same thing again. I mean, come on. And they have a transition team. Why are you so bitter? Why are you so angry? I want to read one of the things on Facebook. Afternoon, the last 2 weeks, you spend your time attacking the administration on victimization. I want to know why you can't have one of the persons who was victimized. By your claim, there was NNP supporters. You also talk about the numbers of people who've been sent home. None of them can't appear on your program, yet this call for concerns. So you want me now to take these poor people children and bring them on my program to humiliate them more? You want to go after the mother and the father too? You forget what the revolution did in Montreal? You forget what they did? They went inside there and said, come out and hear what the revolution have in store for you. Some of them old gold people, they hide in the bush, they don't come. But others full up the community center. Yeah? We have a call on the line? You call up, we're taking that call. And use the last caller.
Yeah. Mr. Bear.
You want to be shot, eh?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I heard you've been saying from the week that's the worst victimization in Grenada.
You ever witnessed something worse than that?
What victimization you talking
You
about?
ever witnessed something worse than that?
But could you clarify for me what victimization you're talking about?
Okay. Well, then I'm going to clarify it maybe tomorrow when I come in, because we're out of time, caller. Thank you, but we're going to try and clarify what victimization I'm talking about tomorrow. Call me Holly. Thank you very much.
Join hands and to focus on building one Caribbean. Raise your voices high, sing up your Caribbean pride. Sing it loud and strong, feel our hearts beat as one. Celebrating song as we rise to heights where we belong. Sound the victory drum for Caricom. The great and diverse be our ethnicities. Let's unite us a stronger
Triple N. Informative, entertaining, and first. Every hour on the hour.
This is the latest news update produced by Triple N. Details when we get back.
Introducing the Grenlec mobile app. You can now get your bill balance and easily track energy usage for your home or business. Report and receive alerts about power outages. Plus, stay up to date by receiving the latest notifications. Yes, the Grenlec app keeps you connected anytime, anywhere. The Grenlec mobile app. Download for 24/7 access.
Welcome back. Locally, Carriacou and Petite Martinique can expect to see more developmental projects supported by the United Nations through its various agencies. In the region, in St. Lucia, 25 participants graduated from a small unit patrol tactic training course held at the Police Training Academy. We get more in this report.
The Royal St. Lucia Police Force, in conjunction with the Military Liaison Office of the U.S. Embassy, conducted a one-week training program entitled Small Unit Patrol Tactics for officers attached to the Special Services Unit, SSU.
The training was primarily for Special Unit Service personnel. However, training has to be integrative and collaborative among our units who operate tactically within the island. Therefore, the Marine Unit, the Drug Squad, the Special Patrol Group, and 2 of the instructors from the Police Force Academy were part of that training. A total of 25 persons were trained. We had 5 personnel from the United States Virgin Island National Guard and the Florida Army National Guard, facilitating what we call an exchange.
Prime Minister Philip Ayers sought to impress upon the participants the important role they play and the powers conferred on them. He stressed the fact that no one is above the law, including himself.
And I want you to think about it. You can see a guy on the streets and keep him for 72 hours on suspicion. This is powerful. And if we, as individual members of the police force, would only understand what that power means, I think all of us, individually and collectively, would feel feel ourselves very important. You are very important people, extremely important people. I mean, you can arrest me. That's a reality. You may not. But if I break the law, you can arrest me. Now, if a man or woman has the ability to arrest the Prime Minister, that alone should make you be very proud of yourself.
Deputy Commissioner of Police for Crime and Security Management, Wayne Shalry, described the course as a game changer in St. Lucia's theater of operations.
The real deal in training exercises, a true game changer now in our theater of operations here in St. Lucia, where for a period of more than 2 decades, the criminal gangs' illicit and violent activities to include firearms trafficking, narcotics trafficking, human trafficking and smuggling, as well as homicides, have had a deleterious impact on the country's social and economic infrastructure.
Some 25 trainees received their certificates.
Around the globe, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau condemned an abusive verbal attack on his Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, Chrystia Freeland, which he described as an extremely disturbing harassment that was not an isolated incident. Here are the details.
I want to take a moment to address, in part, the video we saw this weekend of the Deputy Prime Minister being subjected to some extremely disturbing harassment and threats. And this is not an isolated incident. Sadly, this is something we're seeing more and more of. Certainly, members of this community have seen it, but we're seeing increasingly people in public life, people in positions of responsibility, particularly women, racialized Canadians, people of minority or different community groups being targeted over the past many years. Anytime a woman speaks up on social media, she is so often subject to harassment and toxicity that we actually seeing her rights and her voice and her freedom of expression diminished. We need more women and racialized Canadians and diverse communities to be strong voices in politics, in media, where we're seeing reporters increasingly getting attacked for calling out hatred and indifference and discrimination. We have to ask ourselves what kind of country we are, what kind of country we want to be.
And in sports, Robert Lewandowski netted a brace for his second time in as many games as Xavi's side strolled to a 4-0 victory over Real Valladolid at Camp Nou. This ends the latest update of news. Thank you for listening.
Triple N. Informative, entertaining, and first.